Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Master Your Coaching Biz, the podcast. And today my guest is Kaylin Asher. She's an award-winning business and mindset coach with a 3-day work week. She is also a mom of 2 little girls and the creator of the 100K Coach Roadmap, which gives online service providers a clear roadmap to 6-figure years while working just 15 hours a week. So welcome, Kaylin. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm excited. So tell me, how did you get started in coaching?
Yes, I've been coaching since 2015, so 6 years now. And it wasn't what I started in. I had a long journey before that as an entrepreneur. I think many people can relate. At least I have a podcast as well. And when I ask people about their journey to where they're at now, it's often long and winding, as was mine. Yeah. But what I really loved about coaching was just this opportunity to hold space for someone and allow the best of them and their business to come through. And so I got started helping people at the very beginning of their journeys. And I called myself a clarity coach, and we would just talk about kind of their business idea and their niche and their ideal client and all that foundational stuff. And now that I've been doing it for a while, what I specialize in now is helping one-on-one coaches transition to a high ticket group offer. I see a lot of coaches, they try to layer on a group offer. And what I love teaching is saying goodbye to the back-to-back one-on-one calls and embracing that high ticket group offer as your flagship. And so that's what I've been doing now for the last few years, because that's the journey that I took in my own business. I've always had a 3-day work week, which I know you mentioned, but it looks very different now. When you have back-to-back calls for 3 days, it's very tiring. And now my schedule is much more spacious and my calendar is my own, which feels really good. And so I love sharing that, and I'm happy to, talk about all that and more with you today.
Yeah, awesome. So, so tell me a little bit about, so you have 2 little girls.
I do. Yeah. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, wow. Young ones too.
Yes.
And so they're home most of the time?
The little one's home more. The older one's in 1st grade now. So she's at school, and for now it's open. So we're hoping it's going to stay that way. But they're getting to ages where they're at school and at preschool more. So I'm able to have more hours and more time. But I don't know if I really want to work more hours and more time. I kind of like my 3-day work week. And I a lot of times on Fridays, my husband and I plan something to do, just the 2 of us while the girls are out. So it's I love having this conversation about really creating a schedule that works for you, your life, and your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many hours would you say you worked in those 3 days?
Yeah, I would say, goodness, my work days used to be longer. When I was doing one-on-one coaching, I would do probably like 9 to 5, but now I usually wrap up around 3:30. Like after our interview today, I'll probably start to wind things down, because that's when my girls, their days end at school. And so usually I'm like 9 to 3, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Oh, nice. All right. So, so I know that you worked with a lot of women to help transform their lives and their schedules and their businesses to work less and I guess productivity up. So tell me a little bit. You talked about having that high ticket offer. So tell me a little bit. How did that come about?
Yes. Well, when I first started coaching, like I said, I was working one-on-one with my clients. I was charging what felt like a lot of money at the time, like, $1,200 or something for 3 months of work with me or something like that. But I soon began to hit the edges of the scalability of that, because there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many hours in my work week, because I only had a 3-day work week. And that was because of childcare situations. So that was all I had. And it really became clear to me that if I wanted to be able to have the biggest impact and the most successful business and the most time with my family, I was going to have to really think about the container in which I was delivering my coaching. So after about 3 years of doing one-on-one, and in that time having 2 babies, I decided that what really was intriguing me was this concept of creating what I call a mastermind, which is essentially just a high ticket group coaching program. And I decided to, okay, I'm going to try enrolling this and let this be the flagship of the business. And then all the stuff comes up of, well, can I get everyone to start at one time? I'm used to, getting clients as they come. And so it's been a lot of learning around that. We've enrolled 6 cohorts of the mastermind at this point. It's the flagship of the business. And, since the very beginning, I was actually very fortunate. I have had a 6-figure business, but my hours are much more flexible, and there's a lot more white space now that I'm delivering that group program instead of the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah. And so do you exclusively do the one-on-one the group and not have any one-on-one?
After someone moves through my group, occasionally I'll do like a VIP intensive, like a 2 or 3 hours with them just to do some strategy. Occasionally I'll take on a client who's graduated from my group program. So I really know them in the business, who wants maybe an accountability call once a month. But that's very few and far between. And it's not the main money earner. It's sort of like, I love this person. I love their business. This would be a really fun project, and it's worth my time for, the arrangement. But the mastermind, the group offer is my primary offer. And I don't, in terms of enrollment, I don't open up coaching spots publicly. It's kind of behind the scenes once you've graduated that program.
So you have the freedom to include that one-on-one if you'd like, and then that the group affords you that.
Exactly. Not reliant on it though, like I was before.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So so tell me, there was one thing that I just want to bring up because I thought it was funny. You said that you hate, before we got on recording, you said that you hate the term time management. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do hate that, because a lot of people, when they see that I have a 3-day work week and they think that's this like magical unicorn of a schedule, are like, you must be really great at time management. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's such an antiquated term. I also feel like it's something that was created more by men than women. I think women have always been pretty good at time management, and now we're supposed to get better at it. But for me, what really became clear is that it wasn't time management, it was energy management. How do I feel going through this day with back-to-back one-on-one calls? How do I feel with this structure in my business? Am I exhausted at the end of the day? Or am I like, hey, that was a great day, and I'm, now I have energy to still be with my kids. So yeah. I think it's much more important as we're making shifts in our business that honor our lifestyle, not to try to be necessarily more efficient or more productive, but to notice how our energy is feeling and make conscious choices around like healthy boundaries, and possibly transitioning of, for me, it was sort of a business model transition, a 1-to-1 business model to a 1-to-many.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about that for a minute if we can. So basically, how do you run your business in just 3 days a week?
Yeah, well, it's funny how I started, and so I don't know any different. And by nature, I am pretty organized. I live by my calendar on my phone and my day planner. So like, I guess I have some of those things going for me, but I think what really has been helpful is having those healthy boundaries around my time and being really clear about what I'm available for and what I'm not available for. And because I've made those choices about the things I really enjoy doing and I want to do and I don't want to do, I've been able to hire team members, part-time team members, to offload some of those tasks that would take me maybe above and beyond my 3-day work week. And also just the stuff I'm not particularly good at and don't enjoy, but they're really good at and they do enjoy it. It makes for a much more smooth work week, having those team members to support me.
Yeah, awesome. And I totally agree. Like as soon as you're able to get some team members part-time, at least to start, even just one VA can do amazing things for our time and energy. So I totally agree with that. So tell us how, so in order to have a 6-figure business in 3 days, you've moved to this group model and or mastermind model. And how do you leverage that in order to create this life that you want and the time and protect your energy?
Yeah, and so I was very intentional when I created the program. I looked at my yearly calendar and the time I wanted to have off and the time that, are my, probably windows of time when enrollment would be easier. And so I very intentionally created the container where it's a 6-month mastermind. The first 4 months are more intensive. We have weekly calls, one-on-one coaching, some virtual events, and the last 2 months are more spacious. And this is both for them and for me, because those months, they land either in the summer or around the holidays. And so that's been really fantastic because I enjoy that because I get time off and I only have to host 1 call a month during those months, or even have a team member host it. And the women, after these 4 months of intensive coaching and weekly calls and lots of content and curriculum, are able to have some implementation time while still being in the support container. And so that took us a couple cohorts to find that structure, but it's working really well for our women. And it's what we're beginning to teach to our own clients who want to transition from one-on-one to high ticket to look at sort of having those really more intensive months and then those implementation months and balancing the calendar with those.
Yeah. So when you started to look at creating the mastermind and having that high ticket offer, what kind of mindset, if any, issues came up for you from making that transition?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that came up for me was, can I enroll, a group of people to all start on the same date? I had been selling one-on-one coaching for a while, and I actually had done enrollments for my one-on-one coaching, but it was, some people were maybe starting in January and a couple people in February, and then we'd continue on from there. It was a little more flexible, and it felt kind of scary to think like this specific date, everyone's going to begin, and they have to be available at the same time every week for group calls and at the same time for these virtual events we're hosting. And all of it was pretty much unfounded. It was as easy to enroll that as it had been my one-on-one coaching. And honestly, because when we transition to, at least the way I teach it, when you transition to a high ticket group program, you want to really be clear on your niche and your deliverable and your ideal client and amp that up even more than maybe you were able to get away with your one-on-one coaching. So over time, it actually becomes easier and easier to enroll because you become known for having and hosting that program.
Yeah. And was there, so you said you were making about whatever it was, 1,200 or so in the one-on-one coaching for 3 months, which is where coaches typically start, somewhere around there in the 3 month. Well, if we can get most of them to start in the 3 months, some even start lower. But what about the price? Was there any hesitancy as far as going from that type of engagement to a high ticket offer?
Yes, that it was interesting thinking about it, because I think a common mistake we make is we try to layer on a group program where we're like, I'm coaching one-on-one and this is my rate. And so I'm creating a group program, which means less time with me, which means it should be half that or something. And I actually just give ourselves is more work because now we've got 2 offers and 2 things to deliver and 2 things to enroll and all of that. And so what was very helpful for me is I actually had a coach at the time who had a mastermind that I was a part of. And I saw how she did it, how she enrolled it, how she created really a high value experience, even though I wasn't having weekly private sessions with her. And that gave me a lot of insight into how to structure this group program, my own mastermind, that it wasn't just, something that I would only pay a couple $100 for, but actually this is more valuable even than the one-on-one that I was previously doing. And I think it's also important to say that I didn't just do that by packing in more and more of my time, but adding other high value touch points like guest coaches and private sessions with those guest coaches and virtual events and having speakers come into those. So it creates this really high value network, not just my time is the only gift I can give to you. And so that was very helpful to have a mentor through that process, because there was a lot of questions and stuff that came up as I made that transition from all I had known and what had made me that, successful to that level, and to say goodbye to that in transition was a little scary.
Yeah, I find that a lot of the coaches that I work with just have a fear of charging, period. But then, when you start talking group and high ticket offers, that there's that kind of I'm not good enough.
Yeah, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, to charge those rates. So I like that you actually had a mentor that was doing it, and so then it was kind of easier to see it, right, and be able to follow through on it.
Yeah, after experiencing it myself and seeing the value of being in a group dynamic, it was, I haven't enrolled in anything since, I haven't had a one-on-one coach since. I'm like, I always want that group dynamic, because you benefit not only from the coach, but from the other members as well.
Awesome. So what would you see the key is to having a 6-figure coaching business and the 3-day work week?
Well, for me, the key to the sustainability of it was making that transition from one-on-one to a high ticket group offer. I'm a mom, so the back-to-back one-on-ones all those days, by the time my kids would, be home from daycare or back from school, I was so burnt out. I was just like, I just want to lie on the couch and binge Netflix. I'm not ready to get down and play on the floor. So for me, that really hit all the notes I needed. It helped with the lifestyle aspects, the schedule, and it was able to not just sustain my revenue, but actually grow my revenue, because it's a more scalable offer than one-on-one is. And so in terms of, if someone's looking for a similar situation as a mom like me and one-on-one coaching, I would highly recommend exploring a more leveraged group offer to be the flagship of the business, and nothing that you have to do immediately. And it doesn't have to be a hard stop on one-on-one to the group. There might be a little bit of overlapping in the transition, but for me, that has made all the difference, because I have so much more flexibility. If something comes up at my daughter's school and I want to volunteer for, I don't have to reschedule 8 clients. I maybe just have to reschedule 1 call, if any. And so it's really, it gives you the flexibility and the white space in your calendar that I think a lot of people are hoping for when they start coaching in the first place.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what would be, we're kind of coming up on the end of our time, what would be kind of a top tip that you would give for somebody listening, a coach that's saying, you know what, I want to start a high ticket group offer? What are my, first 1, 2, 3 steps?
Yeah, I think one of the first fun things to play with is just start thinking about what that offer could be. And I think the way to do that is look at the process you've been moving your one-on-one clients through. What are the issues that tend to come up? What are the questions, the obstacles? And begin to map your framework, because when you're one-on-one, often, and not everyone, some people go in with a very clear agenda about their one-on-ones, but sometimes we're there to hold space and allow the client to drive the sessions. And so if you've been coaching in that way, shifting to group means you're driving the sessions, the conversation, the container. You have to really show up as a leader, not just a coach. And so developing your framework is a really great place to start, because it's going to give you an outline of what you want to move this group through.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So you do have a freebie for the audience. Why don't you tell us about that real quick?
Yeah, I have a mini training. I know probably everyone listening has a full schedule like I do, so it's just 15 minutes, but it talks to you more about this concept of a high ticket offer. And it's all about, kind of my journey and what I've helped clients do in terms of tripling revenue with a 3-day work week. And so if you're interested in that, I know Cheryl has the link for everybody listening so that you can head on over there and grab it.
Yeah, the link will be in the show notes, as well as all the contact information. Kaylin, what would be what you would consider the top way to get a hold of you?
I think the best way right now is like hang out with me on Instagram, because I've been hanging out there a lot these days. I'm having so much fun doing reels and stories. And so head on over there. We can connect, follow one another, and DM. And I would love to, if anyone has questions or follow up to our conversation today, I'm more than happy to make myself available over there.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I hope everybody has enjoyed and gotten a lot out of our conversation today. And I will have everything in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for coming, Kaylin. And guys, I will talk to you on the next episode. Thanks, and bye-bye.